Welcome to the AP podcast. Today we have Jeremy Reese with us. What's up, Jeremy?
What's going on?
Hey, glad to have you on the show, bro. So Jeremy is actually a Marine Corps guy, hardcore Marine Corps, and he actually has competed in a handful of shows now in men's physique. So I wanted to have him on the show today to really give some insight for new competitors coming up, what it really takes, the mindset, what it really takes in training, nutrition, supplementation, dedication, everything, because he knows exactly how to get it done because he's competed at a high level over at Emerald Cup, which is a big regional show. So I'm really happy to have you on, Jeremy.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited.
Hell yeah. So first off, I just want to give my viewers a little background, who you are, kind of go your story of how you got started in the fitness industry, how you got, started training in competitions.
For sure. So my name is Jeremy Reese. I've actually been in the Marine Corps for a little over 8 years. This year in October will be my 9th year serving. Kind of my fitness journey, like in high school, I was a chubby, overweight kid my senior year. And so my fitness journey kind of really started when I became a Marine. I went to boot camp and I lost nearly 40 pounds. I went from 197 down to 165. And once I graduated boot camp and started my training and everything like that, what happened was, I started lifting and just doing the basics. I went to GNC and got a basic like protein, pre-workout, like whatever the GNC guy recommended. And I just kind of started lifting on my own, doing my own thing, put on a little bit of weight. Once I got actually stationed in San Diego, it was my first year of marriage, and I had no plan in nutrition. I didn't know anything, so I kind of packed on a lot of weight. I got up to my heaviest, which was 215, and was just kind of eating whatever I wanted, and I needed to change. So I reached out to one of my buddies that I was serving with. His wife and himself did bodybuilding. She was a coach, and I just did a kind of like a lifestyle prep. I wanted to slim down, shred up a little bit, and trim up, and that was kind of like the start of my, prepping, because then in 2015, I did my first show, and it was a natural local show, small show, just to get my feet wet, and I fell in love. I fell in love with the prep and seeing my body change on a daily basis. When it got down to, those last 4 weeks, it just was insane. I ended up taking 4th in that show. There was, I think, 7 in my class. So small show, had a great time, met some great people. And then I took an entire year off and really just had no structure. And then I decided to compete in NPC, which I was real nervous about because I wasn't a big guy. I wasn't like, I was super nervous about it. But I got talked into it. My coach and I reached back out to her. I was like, hey, will you help me prep for the NPC, Emerald Cup? Probably if it's the biggest show in the Northwest, so why not go big,
Yeah, that is the biggest show in the Northwest for sure.
Yeah, so I wasn't really – it was just like a show that was close, and I was like, like it's far enough out, like I'll prep, let's go. Wasn't really thinking anything of it. And had a great prep. I put on 10 solid pounds from that first show to the second show. I didn't place. I was on the second call out on the outside. And I ended up taking 12th. Actually, I looked it up. So 12th out of 6. There were 16 guys in my my class B on the Emerald Cup, and but I had fun. I had a great time. I met some awesome dudes that are in the fitness industry, so it was great. And I was 10 pounds heavier. I brought a better package than my last one, and I think that's what it's all about. And then I met my current coach. Yeah, I met my current coach now, and after that show, I had a structured off season, which I didn't have in between my first and my second show. And I went through his lean bulk program, and I stepped on stage at the Night of Champions, probably close to 12 to 13 pounds heavier, and brought the best package to date. And I ended up placing second there at the Night of Champions, earned my national qualify tag. So I am nationally qualified in the men's physique division. And now, I was going to compete in the Emerald Cup again here in April, but I decided I'm just going to take another year off because with the move and stuff, I'm just gonna build as much as I can, work on my weak areas, and kind of just enjoy life a little bit. Still eat clean, train hard. Just I'm not gonna be doing the crazy regimented cardio and stuff like that. So I'm gonna enjoy and relax a little bit, but really train hard to probably bring the heat and step on stage back in December down in San Diego potentially. So
awesome, man. No, that's a great story, come up story. Sounds like you kind of started down here. You met some people, had a lot of fun, but then now you're trying to take it to the more competitive level.
absolutely, yeah,
We're all competitive. I'm the same way.
yeah.
But yeah. So I guess the first kind of thing I want to dive into was the nutrition when you started to get on the more competitive side of the last couple shows. I want to know what kind of foods you were using. Maybe if somebody was trying to prep for a show, what would be what you would recommend, or maybe suggest some good foods to try to put in for your macros.
Sure.
And then also I wanted to ask you protein intake. So what for your macros and stuff with your coach or however you like to do it, what do you see your protein intake look like realistically for a prep?
Yeah, so this past prep was probably the most like macro wise that I would have never thought my body could handle. So what I've learned is that my body is very sensitive to carbs. My body reacts really fast and in crazy ways when it comes to carbohydrates. So one of the big things coming into that show, the Night of Champions, is my coach. I did a carb load the night before at like almost 450 grams of carbs. And I was like, are you sure? Like, this is like blowing my mind right now. And he's like, trust me. So food wise, my whole prep, I stuck to the basics, the lean protein sources. I was mainly chicken breasts. Occasionally we did do a little bit of lean ground turkey, 99% fat free. And then probably when we got down to about the 4 weeks out, I went all tilapia for my protein sources, aside from my protein shakes, like post-workout. So, green veggies, I ate a ton of broccoli and asparagus, especially the last 4 weeks was like literally nothing but asparagus.
Yep.
And what kind of got me through obviously down through the last few weeks and, especially peak week was, sodium free when we were starting to mess with the sodium intake and levels. And, we're really getting down to like checking in every couple hours with coach, was Flavor God was like the number one thing, the sodium free stuff, like changing up my seasonings when I could, and just trying to keep it just the flavoring, like, because that's the one thing that I see that a lot of people hit me up like, well, how do you eat the same thing day in, day out, every single meal? One, it doesn't really bother me because like to this point, I look at food as just like fuel, like that's all I do is like when I'm looking at food, I'm not like, oh, is this going to taste like crap or whatever. So it's like, I got to get it in because I got this goal. So, but I always highly recommend to people, change your seasonings all the time.
Yeah.
Flavor God is a great source for that. But protein wise intake, my protein was very, very high. Actually, it was pretty high for this last prep. I was in the, when I was carb cycling, I was in I would say probably the 230s, 240 grams of protein in a sense. I was weighing, I think when I started my cut, I was like around 210. Is when we started actually cutting off of the lean bulk. So my protein grams per body weight was higher than what they typically recommend, but I didn't see any issues with it. And I think that's the biggest thing is you do have to know your body and it's a guess and check game, so if your coach or you decide to hire a coach and he gives you the macros and maybe your body's not digesting or it's not, responding like you is, that's why you have a coach. You tell them like, well, hey, here's my progress. This is how I feel. And you adjust accordingly. I just think too many people get hung up on like, no, I cannot intake 1 gram. I can only do 1 gram per pound of body weight. Like that's it. Like,
yeah.
So, but I was fairly surprised on how high my protein was and how well my body handled it. So it was good.
Yeah. As a coach, I do that also as a coach and an athlete is just jack my protein. I know that calories in, calories out. But in actuality, what I've seen from experience is just a thermogenic effect from protein. You can really jack it up and not see
Seriously.
gain too much weight at all, fat, if any, from protein, just from the mechanisms it has to go through your body to actually convert to fat. So I see, like, I push, and I'm like 100 and what I'm like 100 and almost 80 right now pounds, and I jack my protein sometimes 300 grams. so it's I feel you there, and sometimes your body has to get used to it. I remember when I first started doing it, the freaking protein farts, bro.
Yeah, that happens. Yeah.
But once you kind of get used to it, I agree with the carb cycling and the high protein for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of like your nutrition. Did you do carb cycling the whole time?
Well, yeah, pretty much. I mean, I had 2 high days, so I was low, high, low, high. So I basically what we did was we planned my high days around training legs, and then also was training like just the bigger muscle groups, so legs and back in a sense. And then like when we were lean bulking, I was having a cheat meal, a structured cheat meal. He would tell me like where to go and what to have, rather than just like, hey, just go out and eat whatever. It wasn't like a full day of eating. It was just like, hey, mod pizza was like my go-to.
Lots of good macros, I see. All right, here.
It is surprisingly. I mean, you could put like, you get the mod pizza and you could put chicken on it and veggies, and like it's surprisingly macro friendly if you really break it down. Mm-hmm. So that was my go-to cheat.
Yeah, I've only been there one time because me and my buddy were headed back into town from somewhere. They were traveling and we're just starving. I'm like, okay, let's try mod pizza. And I'm looking at these macros. I'm like, damn, like we gotta eat more often.
Yeah. No, it's absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, I carb cycled pretty much the whole time up until, like I said, that 4-week window. That's when like things were super strict. It was strict the whole time, but like that 4-week window is the crucial. I mean, that I think that the 4-week window could make or break a prep. To be honest, you got to peak at the right time, and so.
Yeah, mentally grilling. I see that you kind of go brain numb after.
Oh my God! That the last 4 weeks, I swear, during peak week is when I think we were at all the way up until the day before the show. So peak week started on a Monday. Show was on a Saturday. Someone keeps trying to call me. So Monday through Thursday, I was at like, I think 40 grams of carbs. Literally nothing. Literally, basically. And it was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday was regular training. I hit legs with 40 grams of carbs in my system on Wednesday. And then basically what happened was Thursday and Friday were depletion workouts. Miserable full body circuit training, high reps, moderate weight, and then literally an hour of stair climber, the stair stepper, to completely deplete my glycogen levels 100%. And then right that Friday night, just refuel up and have a cheat meal. And like, so I came into the show like tight, full. It was great. So, but it was miserable. I don't even, like, sometimes I ask myself, like, why am I doing this? You know?
No, no joke though, right? Like I see people like, why do you do that? I'm like, I don't know. It's just like a breed kind of stuff. You know what I mean? It's like you got to do something. But
yeah, exactly.
Well, tell us how long was your prep?
Oh, geez. Between the lean bulk, I mean, I don't really necessarily consider that as like prep. We started cutting, I think, about 10 weeks out.
10 weeks. Okay. What do you and how lean were you at 10 weeks out? I'm wondering because for people listening to this right now, maybe they're wondering about doing a show. How much time would you say that is necessary to get ready?
You know what? I don't think there's a definitive answer, to be honest.
Mhm.
I really don't. I think it boils down to, so my body tends to react pretty fast, especially to like hit cardio and stuff like that. So I mean, in all reality, I could probably, like, if I really buckle down, I could probably step on stage at the end of April in the Emerald Cup and do well, honestly. But I just I'm just gonna take the time off to build. So I would say, I mean, they say on average a 12-week prep is the average, but you have to know yourself and like know how fast your body reacts to cardio, to all the things. And so what I recommend, if someone's first wanting to get into a show, like pick a show like 16 weeks out. Because you can, like, depending on if you want to bulk or not, you can use those 4 additional weeks to, to up the calories and feel good and train heavy and stuff like that. And then 12 weeks out, you're starting to taper your calories down. You're starting to do more cardio. Maybe you're throwing in fasted cardio in there. And those 12 weeks are just kind of a slow taper rather than a drastic change. And you drop too many calories, you burn too much, and you come into the show flat. So I would recommend like probably a 16-week window if you're first getting into a show. I think would suffice, but each person's different,
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. Yeah, I usually like to do the 16-week mark, just like you said, just because of that reason of if you have more of a ecto or people like us that can metabolize carbs pretty easily, we're already pretty much lean, then you can do like a little lean bulk. But if you have like a heavier set, definitely at least 16 weeks,
Absolutely.
depending on the stimulus and stuff you're using at the end too. So, dope. So I guess that I wanted to ask you now about the training side of things. If you were to take any 3 exercises that you could do in prep that was bar none the 3 staples to your regimen, what are those 3?
Oh man.
Why?
100% dumbbell side laterals for the delts, because in men's physique, you want to have the Superman V taper, and that's one thing I really focused on a lot was upper chest and shoulders. So that was my main focus in my prep. So I would say the 3 things would be dumbbell side laterals, incline dumbbell bench, and then rear delts. So whether it be with the dumbbells or, the reverse pec deck, just those are probably the most judged things in men's physique. Up like chest development and shoulder development, and then obviously your small waist tapering down. And so those were the 3 staples that I always used. And then I did a lot of FST7 training that entire prep, which was Jeremy Reese and his coach utilize a lot. And so a lot of just, forcing the blood up into the muscles after a set. So it'd be like, for example, it'd be 7 sets of 10 reps on side laterals. So I do 10 reps at a weight, and then I'd put my arms up and someone push down on a resist for 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Pick the weight up and go again. And that, I swear, I've never been put through that kind of training before. And I would train with my coach once a week, and he would annihilate me.
Yeah.
And so we did that kind of training with everything, with chest, shoulders, back, and it really, really helped develop and push the blood and recruit muscle fibers. And so I did that training my whole prep. So those would be my 3 staples, 100%.
Awesome. Yeah, no, and the reason why I asked you that is for that reason, because a lot of people would say the go-tos of squat, bench, and deadlift, right? But I think in this scenario, like what you're saying with men's physique, I would have to agree definitely that chest, shoulder development is so key. Maybe lat development a little bit too, but I think that is for sure. Because for people that are listening right now and they don't understand why, maybe is because you're not really judged on your legs, right? You're just judged on your V taper, your upper body, and how lean you are, kind of like that beach body look, right?
Absolutely.
So I'd say that the dumbbell ladder raise is my favorite, if not, is my favorite just because of that reason why you said. Like shoulders win for sure with wins shows. But all right, well,
you could superset those dumbbell raises, those lateral raises with anything. So
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
You can
'cause
continue to build your shoulders all the time.
they're not like a huge muscle, so it doesn't take like so much energy. Like you got to reset for a big squat or something like that. You can just hit. I like to superset them and almost put them in what I call giant sets, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I
Heck
also
yeah.
like to incorporate your iso holds, kind of what you were talking about, doing isometric stuff, because the blood in there is just crazy. Yeah.
Pumps are insane. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so you have your show in December now in San Diego, and that is a national qualifier, I'm assuming.
Yeah, the San Diego scene, I'm going to pick a show. I got to get online and look at the schedule. But the San Diego scene in competing is huge. I mean, like literally every show is a national qualifier. And that way, I could take this time to just kind of do whatever I want, because like now I know like I could get ready for a show in 12 weeks and grind it out, especially being down in San Diego and working my regular job in the Marines. I'll have the mornings to hit my cardio and the afternoons to lift. So 2-a-days is basically the goal, and I'll have all that time. Out here on recruiting duty, it's, when I was in my prep for the Night of Champions, I was waking up at 3 a.m, doing my fasted cardio, and then like literally hitting my my protein shake or my waffles or whatever my coach had me on that meal plan, and then lift literally right after cardio. So it was a grind.
Dang. Yeah. No, I have never had to do cardio and then lift and then cardio, and it's pretty.
Yeah.
Definitely, it helps out. But yeah, that's cool, man. And I think a lot of people don't understand what it really takes to compete, not just compete, but compete to win, right? Because like now, bodybuilding has become more mainstream. And I can't say that I was in the era of when it was secluded and it was like legit old school bodybuilding. Men's physiques kind of come up in the ranks, and that's where I've competed in, mostly prep guys. But I think that a lot of people are starting to get on stage that they're just doing it because they lost some weight. But in reality, to kind of be competitive, can you kind of give some insight of what it really takes to be competitive, not just to get on stage and pay freaking hundreds of dollars to I mean, it's just ridiculous.
That alone, one, your NPC card, if you're going to compete in NPC, is $125 a year. 2, show registrations usually range from 110 to 120, and then your tan is the same thing. So literally right there, you're out of pocket close to $500, or whatever the case may be, just with those 3 things, and those are a must. Not to include your grocery list, your coaching fees, your swim trunks, your everything. Yeah. So it gets very, very expensive, and if you don't have sponsors and stuff like that, it very, very, very expensive. But as far as competing at a competitive level, what I've learned throughout my 3 shows I've done is that you have to be like, you have to live for this shit. Like, it's not just something that's I go to the gym to, to stay healthy and, or whatever. No, it is a completely different mindset. Like when I'm on prep and I'm prepping for a show, it's a different intensity in the gym. It's a different focus. It's a different mindset, because I'm literally looking in the mirror. I'm watching my body move way more. I'm practicing on posing in between sets. I'm seeing like, oh, well, here's this area I need to work on more. And so you really have to live for it, like every single day. If it's not like itching at you where you're like, I don't know, it's weird. Like you have to be obsessed with the shit in order to be competitive. Like you really have to live for it. It's like kind of how they make fun of CrossFitters and stuff. Like, oh, they talk about CrossFit all the time. Like that's what you have to be. Like your macros have to be on point. Your water intake has to be on point. It's not something that you can just go out and do. It's a mindset. You got to change your mindset first and foremost, and get with it, because it's grueling. It's not. People think that individuals up on stage are like this healthy staple of a human, but in all reality, the stage body is completely depleted, and it's not necessarily in a crazy healthy state where it needs to be. And that's what a lot of people don't think. And so it's, I mean.
Yeah, no, I think people see it and they're like, man, I want to look like that, like, and then walk around day to day looking like that, and
No,
it's like,
doesn't happen.
so no, I completely understand. I think it's just it is an unhealthy thing for a short term, but I think that it's not too bad on a short term level.
Yeah, short term, that's absolutely. So it's just, you work for 16 weeks or however long your prep is. You get on stage, you show it off for, I don't know, 30 seconds or whatever it is, and you step off stage and you have a donut and you go eat a big huge cheat meal, So it's right back to the drawing board, and that's the key. You got to get back at it. If you have a show planned next, like it's right back on it. So
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And it's weird how it's like we train our minds into this cycle. And it has to be something that you enjoy the process, not so
yeah,
you don't become impatient because of the results, because you're never, ever, 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 ever going to make it where you want to be, because you're always going to want to be better, right? So
one thing I've always said is, like, don't work for the results, work for the progress, because results means you're done.
mhm.
And that's so true. Like, that's when I said, like, once you start like getting down and you're like seeing your body change day to day, or then like right when you're in peak week, you could eat something and then watch your body change 2 hours later. That blows my mind, and it's like phenomenal, and it's so addicting. Like, it's like a drug. You're like looking at the striations coming out, like you eat like carbs and your veins are just starting to pop like 45 minutes later. It's crazy what the human body could do. And it's like, that's what I strive for, and that's what keeps me going.
Yeah, same here. Same here is most people are like, why you gotta get up on stage? And honestly, like, the stage part was not my highlight. It was the in the gym having your intra carbs or your pre workout, or in like your pre workout meal. All of a sudden, you just start branching up, right? And you're like, wow, that's
Yeah.
kind of cool. So
Yeah.
I totally agree with you there. I think that most people are thinking that it's about the $10 trophy, but honestly, it's about the experience. And in my case, like, I've just loved learning about the body and stuff like that. So yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
but well, I guess I want to know, for people that are going to be competing, um, and you said Flavor God was a big help, but what would be your word of advice those last 4 weeks to help maybe reduce your stress levels, or to limit, I guess you would say, to limit your stress levels going so high that maybe it stalls you? Or what was some things to keep your mind off of prep? What was some things that helped you the last 4 weeks while you were pretty much brain dead?
A support system, to be honest. My coach was great. He would always check in with me. How you feeling today? This, that, and the other. But my thing is, in those last 4 weeks, you're getting down to the nitty gritty. Why stress levels? Obviously, you're gonna feel fatigued. You're gonna be tired. You're gonna want to eat anything and everything in your freaking sight. There's gonna be temptations of your friends wanting to go out. Like, you have to realize how far you've come and how much you've changed your body. And so for me, it's like, why would I throw all that away? So I would always, some of my things that kind of like kept me away from the cravings is I would drink, BCAAs throughout the day in my water, in my gallon of water. That helped curb some stuff. Sugar-free gum is like a lifesaver, especially when you're in a super calorie deficit. It's something that's just like, you could just kind of like chew on and stuff like that. So it just keeps your mind rolling. And then just staying full with water, especially it's a crazy mind trick. So you gotta, it's basically what it is. You're tricking your body into thinking you're full when your calorie deficit is super big. And so, yeah, those three things: a support system, whoever it may be, whether it be your friends, whether it be a spouse, whether it be, your gym buddy, or whatever the case may be. I think that's huge. And I had a ton of that on through social media, on my Snapchat. I'd post a lot of my progress on there, and a lot of people hitting me up saying like, "Hey, you got this, sir. You got this, staff sergeant. Like, hey, 4 more weeks." And so I just had a great support system. which was key. And realistically, I didn't really want to let them down. You know what I mean? So that helped a lot when someone's invested in you and watching you change and go throughout. You don't really want to let them down, and you want to show them it's possible. And then, sugar-free gum and water. Those were kind of like my stress handlers.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I use those too. I try to not chew, a pack of gum a day, but
Yeah.
I think the sugar-free gum for sure. And I know, like, I didn't, but obviously chewing, tobacco and stuff helped a lot of people in my team. If you do, because of that satiety kind of effect and just having something in your mouth. But I think the water trick, number one thing, in my opinion, what you're saying, I mean, I would have 2 gallons a day if it needed to be, just because of that initial just like sensation in your stomach that there's something there, but there's really nothing, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yep, 100%.
But no, I agree 100%. So I guess kind of wrapping this up, I guess I want to ask you the last kind of couple things. If you were to offer 3 pieces of advice for somebody that is wanting to compete, say it was their first show, or they were trying to go in their very first kind of weight loss phase. It can be anything. So it could be to do with coaches, nutrition training, supplementation, time, sleep. I don't care. But what would be your top 3 things you could give for advice after everything you've kind of went through?
Number one, if you're going to compete or weight loss and you don't know where to start, get a coach. Number one. I'm not a subject matter expert. I don't know everything. I don't even know the science behind dieting or nutrition or nutritional timing. I don't. And a lot of people think I do. But some of the biggest names in the fitness industry have coaches. The professionals have coaches. So number one, get a coach. Number 2, don't lose sight of why you're doing it. Whatever that may be. Your why has got to be so big that it's going to drive you, because prep and weight loss is the hardest thing you could do. It's not – a lot of people tend to overthink it, but don't lose sight of why you're doing it, whether it be you're trying to get on stage or you're just trying to look good and feel good. It doesn't matter. There's going to be challenges. There's going to be bridges that are, that you're going to have to cross. So just remember why you're doing it. And 3, have freaking fun. Like, have fun with it. There's like, when I go onto a stage, when I'm backstage on a show, like, I'm happy. Like, I'm dabbing people up. I'm like, what's good, man? Like, I'm not sizing people up. I don't give a shit. Like, I don't care if you're bigger than me. I don't care if you have more condition than me. I don't. Like, what I care about is that I'm having fun. I'm meeting people. I'm bringing the best package that me and my coach have brought, and I've put in the work. So those would be the 3 things. Like, if you could stick to those 3 things, in my book, in my personal opinion, you could achieve anything, whether it be a competition prep or weight loss. And that's it, man. Like, that's what I would definitely recommend.
Hell yeah, dude. That was awesome. I completely agree. Yeah, I don't even know what to say to that, because, I mean, that was motivational as hell.
Yeah.
So if any of you guys that's listening right now, my viewers, take that into account. It doesn't always have to be the strategy, the this and that and other thing, but the most important thing would be to, like he said, maybe get a coach, get somebody who does know, so you don't have to do the thinking, to have some accountability with your friends and your gym partner. I think that's huge to keep you motivated. And then obviously the last thing is to have fun. If you're not having fun, then why the hell are you doing it, right? So, But anyways, bro, hey, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. I really do appreciate it.
Hey, I appreciate you reaching out. I mean, I always love speaking, and so it's pretty cool, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, you definitely had some good stuff to say. I think there's some really great insight for people wanting to compete, because there's a lot that goes to it. And so thank you for sharing your experience. What I'm going to do, guys, is put Jeremy's IG and probably his email and some contact stuff in my description box below. So if you want to follow him, follow his journey, his road to pro.
Yeah, there we go.
Totally do that. You can reach out to him if you have any questions. But other than that, I want to say thank you again for listening, guys. If you liked what you heard, make sure to subscribe, like us up, and comment on any other subjects that you want to hear about in the future. So in the meantime, I will talk to you guys later. Thanks, Jeremy.
Later.